Morning, everybody, and welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Pure Guidance. We started Telling It Like It Is to share stories of great entrepreneurs that are up and coming, and it is live. So if you have any questions, plop them in there. If you're watching this after the fact and you have questions, please put them in there and we will have them answered. I would like to thank Startup TNT for sponsoring this. Our finale is next week, Thursday, at Platform Calgary from 4 to 7, where we'll be handing out some more money for entrepreneurs. We'll also have live events in Edmonton and Saskatoon. So the Startup TNT website will be in the comments section shortly. Click on that. But you know what? Let's get after it here today. We got Simon Bullard on as our guest, the founder of MoovEZ. Simon, how are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me. I feel like this is a startup, a rite of passage in the Calgary startup community. If are you even really a startup if you haven't been on Jade Alberts Telling It Like It Is?
Oh, Jesus. You're already on. You don't have to suck up anymore.
Yeah. Got to pump your tires a little bit.
Oh, I appreciate the kind words. Well, no, I mean, we met, quite probably about a year or so ago, if not, and had quite a few meetings, and I've watched you, grow your business and take steps, and it's been a fun journey watching you grow as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, for sure. You were honestly because I'm pretty new to Calgary, and you were one of the people that everyone said, okay, you have to connect with Jade. You have to connect with Jade. And I connected with you really early on, and you've been super helpful ever since. So, yeah, I've been really happy to have met you, and you're very generous with your time and your advice as well.
Oh, you're too kind. I mean, but that's what we're for. I mean, as you probably realized, we're a very collaborative ecosystem, right? If you would have reached out to me or somebody else, everybody would be there helping, making sure that you get the right advice and you're guided down the right path, right?
Yeah, no, I've definitely felt that, and it's been great because this the startup world is so tough. You definitely need friends. You definitely need help along the way, and people to bounce stuff off of. And I've definitely found that in the Calgary community so far.
Oh, absolutely. Well, speaking of bizarre journeys, I mean, you've had a little bit of well, literally a whirlwind tour of how you become an entrepreneur. So why don't we start with that? Why don't you talk a little bit about your journey to becoming an entrepreneur and starting MoveEZ?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I guess like in some ways, I feel like it's always been in me to be an entrepreneur. Like I was a kid. Going around the neighborhood shoveling walks for money to try and make enough money to buy a Slurpee or go to the movie. In in university, some friends and I rented like lawn care equipment, go around the neighborhood, go around the city, doing as many spring cleanups as possible. So I always had I always had was trying to make some money in some way. So um, I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was just like I said, I was just trying to make enough money to buy a Slurpee for myself. But um, the dots really got connected when after university, I got on a one-way ticket to Beijing, and pretty quick after I landed there, it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks after landing, I was in a real estate agent's office looking for a place to live. And these two guys who had recently started essentially a skip the dishes type concept in Beijing heard me speaking Chinese, and they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. This 6'4" Canadian speaking Chinese in a real estate agent in a real estate agent's office in Beijing." They're like, "Hey, do you want to come check out our operation?" And I went, checked out their operation. I was looking for a job at the time, so it was good timing for me. And I walked into their office, and the movie Social Network had just recently come out, and I think I had watched it right before getting to Beijing, and that movie really sort of clicked with me. And walking into their office, I sort of felt like I was transplanted into that movie. Just the energy and the enthusiasm of a startup office. People were working under bunk beds. People were living at the office. Like it was just the the office was alive and it was full of excitement, and I got in there and I just knew right away this is immediately where I wanted to be. And that was kind of my start to the startup world, and I haven't left it ever since.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. No one kind of gets their inspiration by flying 5,000 miles away.
Yeah,
To me,
well,
right? Like,
going back a little further, so I grew up in Taiwan. As a kid, my family, we lived in Taiwan for 9 years. So
oh, okay. Okay.
um, the first language I was educated in was actually Chinese. It was funny. When I got to when my parents sort of decided, like, okay, I think we are planning on moving back to Canada. My parents were like, we need to get our son back into English school system, because at that point I had only really been educated in Chinese. I went to a Chinese school up until grade 2.5, and my parents were like, okay, if we're moving back with our son, he should probably know how to structure a English sentence. And so I was actually ESL student, English as a second language student, when they moved me over to the American school. So it was myself and other Taiwanese kids, other Taiwanese ESL kids, trying to like get caught up on English, because at that point I was educated fully in Mandarin. So that's the backstory, and that's where the China or Asia connection comes from. It's my childhood, and when I got into university, I figured China was booming and there was, plenty of opportunity there for me. So I kind of pursued that angle with my university studies.
Nice. So you moved back here, settled in on Calgary, and then where do what's your decision saying, hey, there's a gap in the ecosystem here. There's a gap in the moving world. How did that come to fruition?
Yeah, so just going back to Beijing a little bit, that first startup I was at, it was called Jingsasong, the Skip the Dishes of Beijing. I left that startup to start my own startup, which was a healthy meal plan subscription service, and it was a delivery focus as well. So I've kind of been in like the tech logistics space with those first two startups in Beijing. Um, Having made the decision to kind of leave my own startup and come back to Canada, I was ready to come back after 8.5 years in Beijing. Um, I knew I wanted to do another startup, but at that point I hadn't figured out exactly what I wanted to do yet. And um, the tech logistics space in Beijing or in China had exploded. It exploded overnight, and like there was delivery for absolutely everything you could imagine. And in North America, I felt like, and especially Canada, I felt like the market had moved a lot slower here, and there was very little innovation in kind of like the moving and delivery space. And I saw examples of it in China, in Asia, and I felt like I could bring my experience from over there, both as a startup founder and as a customer of some of these other delivery and moving services in Asia. I felt like I could bring that experience and start something here in Canada. So it was kind of a China Asia inspired startup that I felt like there was opportunity to do here in Canada. So yeah, the inspiration kind of came from Asia. I knew I was coming back, and after researching the market, I felt like there was tremendous opportunity to do it here.
Well, let's
Yeah.
talk about that opportunity because, I'm, as we've gotten to know you over the last year or so, I mean, I think you are right, and you're proving that. So tell us, how you came up with that MoovEZ idea. Like, how did you say, well, my God, this little gap is here, and I'm going to be able to capitalize on it, and how is it working?
Yeah. So I feel like the moving industry really hasn't evolved too far from the days of the yellow pages, where you used to go into the yellow pages and you go to the moving section, and all the moving companies would be there, and you'd find a phone number. Essentially, that's where the moving industry is still at, except instead of looking in the yellow pages, you do a Google search. But you're still Googling like moving companies in Calgary, and then you're finding a phone number, and then you're calling that number, and you're maybe calling 10 different companies, and then you're deciding on which company you want to go with. It's still a pretty old school way of doing things. And I just felt like, adding a bit of innovation, adding a mobile app, making it a really simple ordering process with in a seamless environment with auto dispatching, all that sort of stuff, where you don't have to go through that process anymore of calling around, talking to a dispatcher, hoping that the movers do show up when you book them, all that sort of stuff. I felt like we could take the concept of the Uber model and apply it to the moving and delivery industry, onboard, vet good, reliable movers and service providers, have them in onboarded onto our app, and create like a really simple, seamless ordering environment to do that. So that's sort of been our mission, and yeah, just make it a much smoother, easier process to book a mover. And when I say mover, I don't mean just like a whole house move. We also do single items, like a couch off marketplace, if that doesn't fit in your vehicle, or if you need to pick up something from IKEA, for example. We do little, I don't consider those moves. We do deliveries like that, but our niche is really in like the big and bulky item space, stuff that doesn't fit in your car, or might be heavy and you physically can't lift it on your own. You need help.
Oh, and just like Denise is saying here, it takes a headache out of moving. Who wants to move, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't, that's for sure, right? Or you phone your buddy with a truck, right? That's why no one wants
Well,
to buy a truck.
that was the whole concept in the beginning, where it's like your new friend with a truck, where everyone in every friend group, you have that one friend that has a pickup truck, and that one friend always gets bothered for everything that needs being picked up, and they get sick of it. So not only do they get sick of it, but it's also annoying trying to coordinate schedules. Everyone's busy, everyone's working. So, our concept was, let's create an app where we have that one friend with a truck, where you don't actually have to bother your friend anymore, and create a riff in the friendship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why don't you talk about how the process works? I know we'll get into where you're gonna go here in a few minutes, but right now, so if Jade Alberts wants to say, you know what, I want to get my sectional, I sold it to somebody, how does that work?
Yeah. So I've really tried to keep the ordering process really simple. We have, let's say, for example, like a pickup truck or a cargo van on our platform. Instead of making it really complicated, where you have to describe exactly what it is you're delivering and all that sort of stuff, we've just broken down the cargo space into like a half load or a full load. So like a single couch would be considered a half load on our platform. A couch love seat combination would be considered a full load. You're essentially, you pick the vehicle you need, you input the pickup and drop off location, you indicate how big the load is, and then you need to provide your payment details, and then you submit the order, and that would get paired to one of our movers on the platform. So yeah, really trying to keep it as simple as possible. We're actually doing a rebuild of the platform at the moment, where we're going to be launching version 2 by the end of summer. And the ordering process, we're going to be asking for a little more information than that, just because and one part of it will be to like upload pictures or video of the items, because some of our customers, very much have a full load, but they like to put that they have a half load to kind of, save money on their deliveries. So that was one thing we learned is uh, we need to keep our customers honest. uh, and our movers need to be fairly compensated for
Absolutely.
their work. So that was one thing we've learned kind of in this process since launching version 1 is obviously some of the fixes we need to make on the platform.
Well, and that's trial and error, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
you're going to figure that out, and that's such a good thing. And then I know Denise says, she put up a comment here saying, if you Facebook Marketplace, I know that and Kijiji are very big markets for you right now.
Yeah, for sure. So we have kind of three main use cases. One use case is like we call deliveries, and those deliveries that's exactly what they are. They're Facebook Marketplace deliveries. A lot of our business for that use case comes through Facebook Marketplace. The other type of delivery, like I sort of explained, would be a curbside pickup at like a furniture store or IKEA or something. We also work with businesses kind of helping with their last mile logistics, and we've obviously focused on businesses that have like big bulky heavy things that people don't like picking up on their own. For example, flooring stores. If you're doing a renovation on your house and you're getting new flooring, you don't want to drop a pallet of flooring into your 5 Series BMW. So you might want to outsource that to us and our pickup trucks. So kind of focusing on that have heavy, bulky, big items. That's another one of our use cases. And then moving anywhere from an apartment, a condo, all the way to like a whole house. So those are our like three main use cases.
Nice.
Yeah.
I kind of, before we talk about where you're going to go here, I want to, when we've talked, we got to see each other again at Adventures. You've went out to the Startup TNT event, and I want to talk about the Startup TNT because I think you have a very important story to share here. And it's not a knock on Startup TNT. It's just, I think it's something that a lot of entrepreneurs really have to understand and have to learn. And that's really working on your business. And we talk about that all the time with entrepreneurs in many different, industries throughout the last 7 or 8 years. So I know you went through the process. You were a top 5 finalist. Unfortunately, you didn't raise any capital. But why don't you talk about how you saw that process go down? And
lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry, did you lose me? Am I still there? Are you still there? Uh-oh, did we lose Simon? Uh-oh, or did you lose me? Are you there? Are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I think we're having some technical difficulties here.
Can you hear me, Simon? I can see you, but you're frozen. I might have to get you to call my cell. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No?
Jade?
Yeah.
I think we're back.
We're back?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Hey, that's live. That's the way it rolls, right?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
got to adapt on the fly.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted you to, I don't know where we left off, but I want to just premise that you have a very important story to tell here about the TNT, because TNT I think was beneficial to you. It got you it got you to meet some very interesting people, but it really made you realize that you need to focus on your business before you go out there and raise. So tell us from your perspective, your TNT experience.
Yeah, well, so with Startup TNT, I kind of got I registered really sort of last minute. It was one of those things where you encouraged me, and another one of my friends who was participating in it, she also sort of said, "Hey, I'm doing this," and pushed me to join as well. And so, I was happy when I registered that to be included. It was an honor that they would even consider me and my business. So I was like, okay, great. Like this will be a good experience. Uh, yeah, experiences like this only help you move your business forward. So I was like, okay, great. Let's get. And then once I got in, I kept progressing. I kept making it to the next round, and then I, at that time, the whole raising, going after investment, going after funding as a founder, that's always in the back of your mind. But at that time, I wasn't really preparing to raise yet. I didn't feel I needed investment yet. I didn't feel I was quite there yet, and I wanted to try and get as far as I can without going through that raise. I still had stuff I needed to learn. I still had stuff I needed to figure out. So I wasn't quite at that point, and I got up in this. I got in the Startup TNT process, and like I said, I just kept making it to the next round, and I was kind of scrambling between each round because the Startup TNT process does take quite a bit of work, take quite a bit of time, and then I'm trying to run my business on the side as well. So I felt like it was just a scramble to keep going to the next round, and then all of a sudden I found myself in the finals. And I think there was a subconscious element to it where I knew I wasn't really ready to raise money. I knew I wasn't quite there yet, and now I'm up on a stage where I need to pitch to investors to tell them like I need their money, and then not really have a solid plan in place to execute with that money once I do raise it. So it was the process was really good because it sort of planted the seed for me, and it taught me really um what aspects of my business were solid and were good, and what things I needed to improve on, and what are some of the answers I needed to find, and what are some of the things I needed to figure out for when I do officially open my pre-seed seed round. So yeah, I think the Startup TNT process, what it did for me was sort of plant the seed, and also help me figure out like, yeah, like I said, where I needed to do some learning, where I needed to figure some things out before I really pushed to open my round officially and get out there, because I take raising money really seriously. I don't I don't feel comfortable raising money or taking people's money until I feel really confident about what it is I'm doing. I really need to believe in my business and believe in what I'm saying. Some founders are really good at just raising money. They can walk in a room with an idea on a piece of paper and convince people to give them a bunch of money. And I probably need a little bit more of that, but that's not my style. I feel I need to kind of prove things first, prove to myself first that people are willing to pay for what it is I'm creating and what it is I'm doing, get some traction, get some product market fit, and then I feel much more comfortable going and saying like, "Hey, this is what we're doing. We need this money to get to this level, to get to the next level." So yeah, that was kind of my Startup TNT experience in a nutshell. I was really grateful for it, but like I said, I don't know if I was quite ready to be raising money at that point.
and and I love, and thank you for sharing that and for your honesty. And I think that's so important because again, working on your business is more important than raising money to prove that you actually can do it. And I think it also says secondly that number one, it verified that you have a fairly good idea, and that you are the right founder to be doing that, right? So when people believing in you and believing in your idea, I think that gave you a nice little pat on the back as well to say, hey, I'm onto something here. And once I figure this out, whenever I do, whether it be 1 month or 5 months, I'm going to be ready. And when I am ready, I now have some investors I can contact and say, hey, my round is open, and I've gone from what you thought here to now I'm here and I'm ready, and here we go, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And um, I think that's a great summary. That that yeah,
Well, I think that just leads
yeah.
into, you know what? Let's talk about what's next, right? So I know you briefly touched on you're going to be having your, version 2 out. So when do you think you'll have that out, and how do you think that will progress moving forward for the rest of the year?
Yeah, version 2. So like the big thing will be the mobile apps. Right now our platform is completely through the web. It's web app. That's going to be a big thing, is having the mobile apps, and then especially on the driver side, the mover side, having a mover version of the app will our movers are gonna love it. They're not gonna have to worry about collecting payments. Right now, some of our payments are sort of cash based, but
Yeah.
we want to get completely away from that and go fully cashless. Um, and also, just from a real time tracking perspective on our customer side, having the mobile app means we have a GPS tracker on our movers at anytime they're on the road, anytime they're doing a delivery. So, our customers will be able to like see exactly where their stuff is, see how far away the movers are. So, yeah, the mobile app aspect of it is going to be exciting. I'm pumped for that, and hopefully it also make like the order submission process for our customers a bit easier as well. Um, Simplify that, and we're also I launched I launched the platform version 1. It was more of like that delivery use case, and since we launched version 1, we've had these other two use cases kind of find us organically, and um version 1 that isn't really compatible for those other two use cases. So uh right now some of our business is automated and through the platform, but there's a lot of human interaction with that platform as well. So um, hopefully the launch of version 2.0 will get closer to full automation where there's less human interaction with it, and hopefully most of the orders that come into us will run through the system without us having to get involved or help process them, because that's time consuming, and that's not really the business model we're going for. We want to be a fully automated like tech platform, and um, so version 2 will hopefully be one step closer to making that happen.
And I'm excited to see that, right? I mean, you've been
Yeah,
talking about that for a long time, so it's there's actually light at the end of the tunnel, so
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. It was because I'm definitely in the lean bootstrap startup category. That's how I launched this business. So all my resources went to getting version 1 off the ground. And once we launched version 1, I didn't really have any resources to go back and make big adjustments to it. So it took me a while of being out there for about 8 to 10 months before I finally actually got the Alberta Innovates Digital Traction Grant, and that grant is what allowed me to like go ahead and start on version 2. So that grant has been really helpful in getting my business to the next level, and giving me the resources to go and do a rebuild, because up until that point, I didn't have the resources, and that's why
Yeah.
we had to kind of work around our current platform and sort of say like, okay, this is the delivery aspect of it, but if you want to move, this is how you have to place that order. If you're a business, this is how you have to place that order. So
Yeah.
um, Yeah, but I think it's pretty common with any of these tech startups is you build one version, you figure out what works, what doesn't, and then you go back to the drawing board, you kind of scrap it and rebuild it with hopefully a better version of what you originally had thought.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I mean, I love what you've done. I love how you've come. I love how you bootstrapped it, and looking forward to watching you take this into something big, and obviously across a lot, Canada, North America, and wherever you want to go. It's
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, that's the goal. And Jade Alberts is going to help me get there.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm always in. I'm in for everything.
Yeah, I know you are. You're everywhere. You're
Well,
everywhere.
speaking of
Yeah.
everywhere, well, you gave a couple really good tidbits, and I don't want you to use what you used before. So, if you had one piece of advice for a startup entrepreneur, Simon, what would that be?
Um, well, I've already sort of talked about this a little bit, but like just the lean bootstrap approach, I think is, every startup story is different. Obviously, some startups you need capital, like you can't even get off the ground without money.
Yeah.
I mean, every business requires a little bit of money, but I do really feel that starting your business lean and bootstrap, it makes you scrappy and it makes you figure things out. Um, you have to do a lot with a little, and being in that sort of headspace, in that environment, it really makes you execute and figure things out in a way where if you have a bunch of money, if you have a lot of startup capital, you can throw money at problems. If you don't have that, you really have to get out there and figure things out and work boots on the ground. Um, I'll go back to my China business in the food delivery, the business I founded over there, the healthy meal plan subscription service. Being lean and bootstrapped really kind of helped to shape our business model because we we started that business with $10,000. So that's not a lot of money,
Yeah.
and we were our concept was we wanted to have a subscription service where people ordered their healthy meals for the week, and then we would kind of have a kitchen that we would deliver out of, and we wanted to have like a app online ordering system. Over in China it was WeChat. I don't know if you're familiar with WeChat, but people would order through WeChat. So we we didn't have the capital to go ahead and rent a big fancy commercial kitchen. So what we ended up doing, which was really smart, I think, was we found a restaurant that had a big storage space in the back that they weren't using. We converted that into our space and we shared the kitchen. So we didn't have the resources to go and start our own commercial kitchen, even though we needed to get in a commercial kitchen um, to make this business happen. So we had to get creative and scrappy, and we got in there and we figured out a way to work out a partnership with an existing restaurant that was dead during the day, so we could utilize their space during the day, and they were busy at night and we weren't busy at night. So just being in that sort of lean bootstrap headspace forces you to get creative and forces you to make stuff happen without a lot of resource. And like I said, it kind of shaped our business model with that, because then we went and repeated that with other kitchens, with other restaurants around Beijing. That became our model where,
Nice.
um, without kind of being lean and bootstrap, we probably would have spent a lot of money and went and rented a commercial space, outfitted it with expensive kitchen equipment, which we didn't need. And by being lean and bootstrap, we found this other option, this other opportunity that proved to be really successful.
And I
Yeah.
can't agree more, right? Being lean, being able to bootstrap it, understanding that every penny counts, every dollar counts, goes a lot more, it goes a lot longer. And especially now that you're going to be going out for investments, and people will realize that, hey, I understand the value of a penny, a dollar. And if I give you X amount, 100,000, 150, whatever the number is, 500, that you'll spend it like it's your own. And that means a lot to investors.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying
Absolutely.
to trying to make that money go as far as it can.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
and it needs to. So, again, Simon, it's been way overdue, but I think we waited for the right opportunity for you come on and telling it like it is. I appreciate your honesty, your authenticity, and thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Yeah, I can add that blue check mark to my business now. I got the telling it like it is stamp of approval. It's
Yeah, you had
official.
that before you even came on.
Yeah, it's official. I'm officially a business now.
You've been a great business for a long time, my
Yeah,
friend, and it's
yeah,
been an honor chatting with you today. And I look forward to running into you here over the next little bit, and have fun at all your weddings this summer.
yeah, yeah. I know it's crazy. It's wedding season coming out of COVID. Everyone's getting married again.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
yeah.
All right, my friend, you have yourself